Hey, Phil here, and welcome to this crash course lesson on editing a photo in Adobe Lightroom. As I mentioned before, this is just a quick run through of how to edit a photo completely in Adobe Lightroom. In the following lessons, we're going to take a step back and go through every aspect that I'm going to show you in this lesson one step at a time. So let's get going. So when you're in Adobe Lightroom, you have these different modules. I'm in the library mode right now, and you can see all of my photos. To import photos, we can just click this import button and then find where we want to import photos from. I'm going to import this photo right here, Geneva Statues. This is a park in Geneva that I visited a couple summers ago. And when I'm ready to edit, I can click this Develop tab, and this gives us all the options for editing. I can kind of open and close these different windows to give me more room to edit if I want. Over here on the right side, I have all of my editing options, and there's different tabs here that you can open and close to get different options for editing. The first thing I'm going to do is crop this photo. I'm going to click this button right here. This gives us the bounding box, which I can drag in or out. I can also click and move this image around. And so I'm just going to crop this in, and then just by dragging on the corner, I can rotate the image. And I'm trying to horizontally align it to the bricks right here. I'm going to undo that just by pressing Control Z on my keyboard or Command Z on my keyboard if you're on a Mac. And let me just actually reset. You can go back to the very beginning without any edits you've made by going to reset, because I want to show you something very cool. So if I click crop again, I'm going to crop in. I'm going to move it right here. There's a cool way to automatically level a photo to a horizon or to a line in your photo, and that's with this little level tool right here. If I click this button right here, then go on top of my image and then just drag a line across the horizon or whatever I want to be level, it will automatically rotate the image to that point. Then when you're happy with your crop, you can just press the return key or the done button in the bottom right. So for this photo, I want to make it kind of cool. So I'm going to drop down my basic tab. We have our white balance editing tools right here. The white balance is fairly good. I'm actually going to make this a black and white photo, so I'm going to skip down there to saturation down here. Then I'm going to play with the contrast and the exposure. I can control the entire exposure of the image right here with this slider, the entire contrast with this slider, or I can edit individual parts of the image, the highlights, shadows, whites, blacks with these sliders. So if I want to add more contrast, I can bring down the blacks and bring down the shadows and maybe bring up the whites a little bit. I want to make this super contrasty, so I'm just going to make this a little bit extreme, but I think the way this photo is with the statues, it works well if it's super contrasty. I can even bring up this contrast slider a bit, maybe drop the exposure overall. I might go back to crop and just crop in just a little bit. So just to this top step right here. So we're in just a little bit more. Just return on my keyboard. Make sure we're not cutting off that guy's head. These next options are other ways that we can edit the exposure of different parts. This is the tone curve, and we're going to be going over this in the future lessons. Really, the rest of these I'm not too much interested in. The only thing I might be interested in right now is the effects tab, and this has vignetting. So if I want to add a vignette, I can add a vignette by dragging down this slider, and I might add just a little bit of a vignette, add some more feathering, and let the highlights come through a little bit more. So I think that's pretty darn cool, kind of scary actually. There's lots of these other tools we're going to be going over in the class, but this is pretty cool. If I want to compare this to the original image, I can click this button right here, which is the comparison before after, and then I can cycle through the before and after settings just by clicking through it. I think it's pretty cool. This is kind of an artsy pic. Maybe I would print and put up on the wall. Say I'm happy with it. Let's export it. If I go up here and go back to library, the quickest way to export is just by selecting that photo and clicking this export button. Or while I'm in the develop tab with my toolbar film strip down here, and have the photo selected, I can just go up to File, Export, or Command-Shift-E on a Mac, or Control-Shift-E on a PC. I'm just going to say where I want this saved, so I'm going to just put it on my desktop. Again, we're going to cover all of this later, so I'm just going to run through these. I'm going to call this Geneva Statues. For file settings, I'm going to leave at JPEG quality 100, but I'm going to resize to fit, and I want the width to be 2000 pixels. The height, I don't care what it is, whatever the right aspect ratio is for having the width be 2000 pixels, and the resolution 150 ppi is good. Watermark, I'm not going to want a watermark. We're going to learn all about that in this course. The rest of these I'm just going to leave as is. Going to click export. It's going to export up here. And then if we go to our desktop and open Geneva Statues, we have this edited image. Super cool. I think I am going to print this out. I've always loved this photo. I love this statue. I love this park. It means a lot to me. I studied abroad in Germany, and I was able to visit family in Switzerland, and then I took my wife back to Switzerland, and that's actually, I proposed to her in Switzerland, not at this park, but in Sion, Switzerland, where my great-grandfather is from, actually. So yeah, Switzerland's a great place, and enough about that, enough about me. This is the first photo that I edited in this course for you guys. Hopefully you get a rough idea about how easy it actually is to edit in Adobe Lightroom. From now on, we're going to break down all of the different aspects, going from the program layout, importing, organizing, to all the basic editing features, explaining exactly what each of those are, then going into some more advanced editing tools, followed by some techniques, more advanced techniques, and walkthroughs of our entire editing process. Thank you so much again for enjoying or enrolling in this class, and I hope you're enjoying this class so far, and we'll see you in another lesson. Bye.